Hello and welcome to this special broadcast on India's defence roadmap. The Ministry of Defence has cleared 10 capital acquisition proposals worth rupees 1 lakh crore. These will be carried out through indigenous sourcing from Indian companies. The Defence Ministry is set to procure armoured recovery vehicles, electronic warfare systems, surface-to-air missiles and a common inventory management system for the tri-services. The government is also looking at increasing the capability of the Indian Navy by acquiring moored mines, mine counter measure vessels and super rapid gun mounts. Post-Operation Sindhur, India is set to increase its focus on acquisition and domestic manufacturing of combat drones, UAVs, early warning systems and satellite systems. To get a sense of India's defence acquisition and manufacturing game plan is R.K. Singh, India's Defence Secretary. Mr. Singh, thank you very much for joining us on the program. Let me begin by asking you about the latest capital acquisition proposals which have been cleared worth 1 lakh crore. How do you expect the public sector units and the private sector to benefit from this?
This particular tranche of approvals, or accord of necessity as we call it, is, the unique thing about it is that all of these, 100% of these are meant to be in the category of what we call Indigenous Design, Development and Manufacturing, IDDM. All of these projects rely on domestic technology, domestic design, and therefore the entire IPR will remain with us. Many of these are with DRDO, based on DRDO technologies. Others are with different technology sources. So yeah, it's an important sort of reaffirmation of our belief in self-reliance. Increasingly, you will find that IDDM is where most of the procurement will come from. And more importantly, increasingly, you'll see that most of these DRDO technologies will be utilized by the private sector through its DCPP model. Many of these projects are also in those categories. And most of the projects, therefore, will be done by a combination of public sector and private sector industry partners, but using domestic technology, as I mentioned.
I would also like to get a sense from you on the AMCA program. An expression of interest has been issued. By when do you want to conclude the awarding of contract?
Well, you are correct. The RFI has been issued by ADA, our Aeronautical Development Agency, and I think they've had some preliminary rounds of discussions with prospective bidders. The timeline is a little difficult for me to say because, frankly, I have not checked with them. But I would imagine it will take something between 3 to 6 months to, to reach the contract award stage. Thereafter, the project itself of development and of an AMCA prototypes, actually taking to the skies, it should be about a 10-year program, I would imagine.
Right. As you speak about a 10-year program, sir, there is also an urgent need of the Indian Air Force to meet the gaps in our fleet. The reason why I'm asking you is because there have been a lot of reports about how Pakistani pilots have been training in China on 5th generation fighters for more than 6 months, and Pakistan may actually get 40 5th generation fighters by the end of this year from the Chinese government. How serious is this challenge according to you?
Well, first of all, I don't know about the facts of this the matter that you mentioned about 40 5th generation factors, pilots being trained. There's a lot of internet chatter. I don't know how much of it is actually true. And because there have also been cases of denials by responsible people there about any such moves, or at least about the timelines that are being mentioned. So let's leave that aside for the time being. As far as our steps in this regard are concerned, we are talking to our partners on the 5th generation fighter aircraft program. As of now, those discussions have not reached a stage where we can start sharing this with the media. I don't think we can do a blow-by-blow sort of accounting of what we are doing when it comes to these things. These are sensitive negotiations. When it reaches some kind of a tangible stage, whether it is through an AON or through an RFP or ultimately through a contract, that is when the media will come to know.
Right. So if I'm right in understanding, sir, there is an AMCA program which will continue as it is. And in the meanwhile, India will speak to key allies and partners to see if there can be a solution found on getting fifth-generation fighters in a shorter period of time.
Yeah, you could say that without getting into too many specifics, because as I said, these things need to be done outside the media gaze.
Okay. There are proposals, sir. The US government has made proposals in the media for F-35s. Russia has made proposals in the media for Su-57 fifth-generation fighters for India with full technology transfer and manufacturing collaboration with HAL. How do you see, number one, Russia's proposal to transfer technology for fifth-generation fighters to India and build them in collaboration with HAL? We already have an existing Sukhoi line here in India.
Parikshit, I've already made it clear that I'm not going to give you a running commentary on what we are doing on this. We will do it. You will come to know when we take decisions. While discussions are ongoing, there is not going to be any, a running commentary on what we are doing.
Any formal proposals from the US or Russian governments on offering fifth-generation fighters?
I don't know, frankly, because some of this would take place at the service level. But again, let's leave this topic. This is not something that is going to be discussed in public before we come to any decision.
Could you also list out the major investment opportunities for the private sector and the public sector right now in areas which are going to be a priority for the government and will remain a focus of government capex, according to you?
I think we've made it clear through our budget allocations that we are going to do 75% of our budgetary outlays are going to be spent within the country. And these will cover vast areas of our defense domain, including aerospace and aviation, naval shipbuilding, where out of 60 odd ships under construction, 59 are being built within the country. Land systems of various types where we have good capacity already. Missiles and munitions where a lot of the systems integration is done by the public sector, but there are a large number of private sector players who play a role as component manufacturers and vendors. Also in areas like electronics and communication systems, emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, robotics, and of course drones, where there is a significant allocation available for good Indian private sector companies and public sector companies for that matter.
Right. We've also been reading reports how government may go ahead and procure more airborne warning and control system aircrafts, mid-air refuelers. Could you give us a sense if there is a plan to do so? Is there a formal plan in place now, sir?
Yes. So for both for refuelers and for AWACS and early warning and control systems, we have ongoing procurement processes that are at different stages. Some are at the stage where AON has been accorded and RFP is being issued. There are others where AON has been, there are others where RFP has already been issued. So yes, these are well underway. There is one for the refuelers. Again, there's one where we have taken on a lease, whereas there's another larger order where the RFP has recently been issued. So yes, these are force multipliers, and we are actively in the midst of a procurement cycle for ensuring that these platforms are made available to the Air Force in the quantity that they need them.
Right. Could you give us any numbers?
I think I wouldn't be able to. We've leased one refueler already. I think the RFP has been issued for 6 refuelers, also for half a dozen AWACS. So yeah, those are all ongoing procurement, ongoing in the procurement cycle. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully these will succeed and we'll get good bids with good competition, and we'll be able to, ensure sign up contracts quickly during the course of this year.
Right. Now, speaking about the defense budget, considering our experiences from Operation Sindhur and how India will now focus a lot on cutting-edge technology in the defense sector. Are we expecting the Defense Ministry to make a recommendation for a significant increase in the defense budget, in the next union budget?
I think the short answer to this is that on the capex side, there's never been a constraint. Actually, there has been a constraint in terms of our ability to actually fully utilize our budget, and we've done it last year, and we are well on the way this year of ensuring that our quarterly expenditure targets are met. So based on a faster pace of expenditure, we can ask for additional money during the revised estimate stage if it is felt that the requirements are more. So I would say that we are. It's likely that we might need additional allocations in the long run, but it really depends on absorptive capacity of the industry, of our own ability to spend money quickly, to sign contracts faster, to take procurement decisions faster. So that process now we've kind of improved significantly last year. I keep saying that we did 2 lakh crore of contract signings last year, which is the double of any previous year, and the highest previous year rather. And we intend to keep up that pace. And if we keep up that pace and we ensure that there are enough committed liabilities and ongoing purchases, then I'm sure we can persuade the finance department to give us additional capex. They've promised to do so always.
Right.
If you're asking as a longer term issue, as far as the Finance Commission is concerned, for the 5-year cycle of the 16th Finance Commission, we are going to be seeking additional allocation to the extent that our defense share in the GDP goes up from the current figure of about 1.9 to about 2.5. But that is a sort of broader, longer term, or rather medium term sort of request that we intend to make.
Right. And in the revised estimates, sir, are you going to seek additional allocation, keeping in mind the current procurement cycle?
I wouldn't be able to say right now, but since we've done some additional, some quick procurements in fast track under the emergency procurement, and there could be some other fast track procurements as well. So if our pace is such that we need additional allocation at the RE stage, we'll think about it. As of now, it's a little early to say.
Just to also ask you about joint production that we are looking at. Let me begin with Russia, sir. On the S-400 air defense system, are we going to be looking at manufacturing S-400 jointly with Russia?
No, as of now, we are looking at establishing an MRO here in the first place, and thereafter we'll see. The numbers may not be sufficient to have a, co-development and co-production. It's very early to talk about that. Right now, I think there is a suggestion that we might go for some additional orders of the S-400. Out of the 5 batteries that we've already ordered, 2, as you know, are still to come. They'll come next year. And by the end of next year, all 5 will come. So yes, maybe there could be some additional orders that could be considered. But generally, in terms of production, normally you start with an MRO, and over time, depending on the volume, you could look at co-production. But it's probably a little early to be talking about that.
About BrahMos, any plan to build advanced BrahMos missiles?
I don't have, frankly, an update on this, but I think there is a continuous upgradation program for the BrahMos in terms of making it lighter, more lethal, more suitable for the Tejas in the long run. So all those steps are ongoing, but I wouldn't be able to give you a kind of a, real-time update of what exactly is happening. But yes, these all of our missile programs do go through continuous upgradation, and I'm sure the BrahMos is doing so as well. And of course, I want to shout out to the scientists who designed it and developed it, and our Russian partners, because as you know, it performed really remarkably during Operation Sindhur.
All right, we're going to take a short break here on CNBC TV18, but don't go anywhere. This conversation with the Union Defence Secretary continues on the other side. Welcome back. You're watching CNBC TV18 and we are in an exclusive conversation with R.K. Singh, India's Defence Secretary. Mr. Singh, let me also ask you about combat drones. Considering we don't have technology for combat drones in India right now, is there a plan to bring in a incentive scheme? Now, there have been reports that India may bring in a $234 million incentive scheme to support civil and military drone makers. Could you throw some light on this, sir?
I'm not sure. I mean, there used to be a PLI, a production-linked incentive scheme for drones, which I was aware of when I used to be secretary in DPIIT. I think that the first phase of that scheme is probably over, and if there's a second one on the anvil, I don't have an update on that. The Defense Department is not a developmental department. We don't do programs to support industry in that sense. Our support to industry is through orders. And the volume of orders is such that industry will not need any other support. So as far as we are concerned, yes, the nature of warfare changing the way it is. There is a large market for drones in the country, military drones. And I think industry recognizes that and is making investments. There are one or two promising companies with Indian designs as well. There are others, including some large industry conglomerates who've tied up with foreign vendors or OEMs with transfer of technology. So yes, from our side, the support will be there in the form of large orders, large RFPs or tenders that will be issued, and it will be under Indian, by Indian and IDDM categories, because the intent is to make it in India. But it could be at fully Indian design and manufactured. It could also be one where the technology is from outside, but the construction or the manufacturing takes place in India. But yes, from our side, there will be the support with large orders, both under the emergency procurement process that we've initiated, as well as the long-term processes that we intend to do. In all of these, you'll see large tenders coming when it comes to drones of different types.
Rajnath Singh, the defense minister, concluded a very important visit to the US. He also had a conversation with Pete Hegseth, the US Secretary of Defense. Could you give us a sense of what was discussed in terms of delays in delivery of weapon systems from the United States?
Well, the Raksha Mantri took up all of those delays, including the engine delays, both of particularly of the 404, and also the fact that we need to finalize the 414 agreement, the technology transfer and the commercial agreement quickly. We also raised the issue of delays in the Apache deliveries, which now are on the anvil. We're expecting at least 3 this month. We've also discussed a little bit about the P8Is, where there is some discussion ongoing. There, the price negotiations are still ongoing, and depending on that, we'll see whether we proceed further on that. Honorable RM also mentioned to him about Operation Sindhur and our compulsions in taking effective action against cross-border terrorism. And finally, he expressed the sort of willingness from our side, which is also affirmed from the American side, that the 10-year defense partnership agreement will be finalized soon, and hopefully it will be signed during the next physical visit that our defense minister has with the defense secretary of the US.
Right. What I would also like to ask you, sir, especially on the 414 technology transfer and commercial pricing agreements, after this conversation between the defense ministers of both sides, are we expecting some conclusion on that, some movement on the manufacturing of 414 engines in India?
So the manufacturing will start after we complete the TOT and the commercial agreement that HAL is negotiating with GE. My understanding is that the technical part is completed, the commercial is ongoing. The last I heard, they expect to do it in the next 3 to 4 months. But this is really something for the HAL to speak to. I don't have the latest on this. If I had known, I would have asked the chairman HAL before talking about this. But my understanding is this, that the last I spoke to him, he was saying that the technical part is done and the commercials will take a few more months.
Right. When it comes to the delivery schedule of 404 engines, what is the timeline that we're now looking at? What is the assurance that we've got?
Assurance, I think, is that they will deliver one more engine after the one they delivered one in April, one more in July, and hereafter they'll be delivering 2 every month till March, which is why HAL chairman has promised that 12 Tejas aircraft, LCA aircraft, will be delivered by the end of this financial year. So we are hoping that this will stabilize the LCA production lines for by HAL. But let's see how it goes. As of now, this is the delivery schedule that has been committed to by GE.
Any discussion with the US on acquiring or manufacturing land combat systems or Striker vehicles, at the same time Javelin missile systems?
I think we are intending to buy some Javelins straight away under the emergency procurement route. On longer term orders, I think negotiations of some kind are going on between the two sides, and we'll let you know when they come to a conclusion. On the Striker, the initial field trial that they had done, they had fielded a category that was not a type, which was not a version which was not suitable for us. We asked for an amphibious version. I think they are fielding that in the next joint exercises that India and US do. Depending on the trial there, or after we see that for ourselves during that exercise, I think the Indian Army will be able to make a statement of case and thereafter move forward on that.
On Operation Sindhur, the Deputy Chief of Army Staff recently said that China was actively supporting Pakistan during Operation Sindhur. Would it be possible for you to confirm, sir, how China exactly supported Pakistan?
I wouldn't be able to say exactly what. I think there is an inference that some intelligence sharing, some satellite imagery sharing was going on, given some of the conversations that the DJMOs had with each other. So yes, it's more of an inference. There's no conclusive proof one way or the other. But yes, if our Deputy Chief has made such a statement, I would imagine it is based on, on some combination of intelligence and deduction from that intelligence. But it's not a secret, really. There is a collusive sort of an element of collusivity is built into this relationship between our two adversaries. And we should be prepared for that and, take action accordingly.
Right. The CDS in the Shangri-La dialogue, sir, and the Indian military attaché in Indonesia had indicated we lost fighters in the conflict with Pakistan in the initial phase. The Indian military attaché in Indonesia went on to say that there was a decision not to strike Pakistan's air defenses, as this was not an operation against the Pak army, but only against terrorists. Would you confirm that, and also how many fighters we may have lost in that exercise, because there have been inferences about Rafale fighters being lost?
Of course, I'm not going to talk about individual platforms, and you use Rafales in the plural. I can assure you that that's absolutely not correct. This business of counting our losses is an absurdity. I don't see the Pakistanis counting their losses and blasting it over the airwaves. We are not here to talk about losses. We are here to talk about what happened in this conflict. And as I made it clear a few days back in another interview, what happened in this conflict was that they lost, both in human terms and in material terms, significantly, manifold more than us. They also lost 100+ terrorists who are also their assets. So I can only assure you, take it from me, that in terms of material losses, in terms of asset losses, and in terms of, including and in the terms of terrorists killed, they've lost many times more than what we have. But this trap of talking about our losses or talking about individual platforms, that's not something I'm going to fall into, and I think it is absurd to also link it with other things like political constraints. There are no political constraints when it comes to our services. They have full freedom to, in operational terms, when it comes to conflicts of any kind.
Right. My final question to you, sir, would be about the Rafale systems that we have. And after Operation Sindhur, there have been some reports about some sort of review in the partnership. Is anything of that sort being undertaken?
Pure speculation and not worth responding to.
All right, Mr. Singh, thank you so much for joining us here on CNBC TV18, giving us a complete overview and update on India's defence acquisition and manufacturing roadmap. That's all we had time for here on CNBC TV18. Goodbye and thanks for watching.